Good evening, everybody, whether you're here with me now or you're watching later. I was thinking today how much I love this material and this new format of class. It's not yoga, this new class time. It's really late for me to be teaching, but because it's not yoga, it's somehow really nourishing for me to teach at this time. And I just really hope you guys are enjoying it as well. It's different doing this online than in person, of course. We recognize that. And, it's pouring down rain right now, at least in Fort Worth. And maybe we wouldn't be together tonight because a lot of people want to stay home in the rain. And so here we are talking a little bit about meditation and practicing. And there's something very sweet about doing it in our own home. And if you're watching later, something so great about doing it when you can. And so I just continue to try to find the gifts in this new way of being. And I hope that you're enjoying it too. So I know there's some new people on tonight. Please know that you can email, call, text me questions about this material anytime. And as questions come in, sometimes I incorporate it into the teaching, into the meditation, or we can talk about it offline. But I do know that your question is probably universal. That's one thing I've learned from teaching as long as I have been, is that nobody's question is ever weird or strange, or you're the only one that has that. That is never the case. The details might be specific to you, right? But the questions we have are mostly universal. So I'd like to begin with just eyes closed, seated, silent meditation for a few minutes to allow everybody to get on and get settled. I know a lot of people are coming in from work and, things happening outside the room. So let's close eyes and sit just for 2 minutes or so, silent meditation to begin. Okay, friends, go ahead and open your eyes. So for tonight, if you've spent any time in meditation or tried to start a practice or have been trying for years and you pick it up and you set it down, and it's surprisingly challenging to start a practice. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And over the course of the years, as we sit together more and more, we'll get into that and different remedies and different reasons. But I think one of the reasons it's so hard to sit is that we, as a human species, especially with a modern mind and brain, we're kind of always looking for something better. You know what I mean? Like, in any moment that we're in, the brain is always searching for a little more excitement, and it really likes that excitement, like it grasps onto that. And in meditation, we're seated quietly, and you know this, but there could be a lot of excitement happening in your brain, thought pattern, all of that. But it's very different than the excitement the brain gets from looking at a phone or from clicking that link to go shop and buy something, or the excitement the mind gets even during drama, right? There's some excitement there when we're in a heated situation. And so meditation is asking us to open to what's happening in the moment. And there's not a lot of external happening in the moment in meditation. There's a lot of internal, as you know. And so that's the shift. We're moving from so much outer excitement toward the inner excitement. And one of the things that really helps me, which is the teaching tonight, is to respect each moment. Respecting each moment. And this is such a beautiful teaching in helping us get to the mat more often and helping us stay in our meditation practice. This idea of real respect for the moment that we're in. In Jewish mysticism, the Hasids believe that each person has been gifted their own corner of the universe to take care of. So you could be the president, or you could be a clerk at the corner candy store. You could be a mom of 10, or you could be a mechanic who lives alone. But regardless of your role and what life you were born into, everyone has a world, and whatever is in their world in any given moment is deserving of respect and deserving of their love and deserving of their attention. There was, I don't know if any of you get this, the Sunday New York Times. We subscribe to the actual paper. It gets delivered every Sunday. And that Modern Love column, so good. And last Sundays, it was either last Sunday or the Sunday before, there was a story about the UPS man that kept delivering to this woman's door throughout the pandemic, and the relationship they created. He was married with kids. She was single, not a romantic relationship, but a real friendship. And this UPS driver found service in spending an extra minute with each person he delivered to if they were home, if they answered the door when he rang. And he said to this woman, you know, I used to think I needed more out of my career and more purpose from my job. And he said, I realized that right now I'm delivering joy or necessities. He has a real purpose in delivering things that people need. Some of that stuff, you know, the stuff from Amazon makes you pretty happy depending on what it is. And so in his own little corner of the world, he was finding such purpose and such love and such connection. But he said he had to make the conscious decision to turn his mind toward that as his purpose for his job. Our job isn't our purpose, but it's what we bring to that job that can become our purpose in our small corner of the world. I think you can find the column online. I can't remember what it was called, but it was from either Sunday or the Sunday before, Modern Love. Like right now, I'm trying to communicate this teaching to you as clearly as I know how. You're listening to my words, trying to absorb. In this moment, this little corner of us sitting in our private homes together in this way is our world right now, this connection we have in this moment. So it's a question of us always asking, like, what is my situation I'm in right now? What am I doing? When we are in our car driving, our task is to put our hands on the steering wheel and drive. If our child comes to us with an issue or a problem, our task is to stop everything we're doing and give that child our full attention. So it's really that each moment has an intelligence to it that we can easily miss if we are numbing out or living mindlessly or moving too quickly. I think speed is a big determinant on how much respect we give to each moment. We're in such a rush sometimes, you know? And so our formal way of practicing this, of course, is like tonight. We're going to sit for about 15 minutes in our seated meditation. And then our informal way of practicing respecting each moment is just what I said, like trying to give our full attention, even if it's for 2 minutes, to the task at hand. And of course, these things go in tandem. So the more we sit, the more able we are to focus in our daily life. And then the more we are living mindfully in our daily life and really trying to do this, the more we get out of our sitting practice. Those of you that have small kids or can remember this, I remember when my kids were really little and I would be on the phone, right? On the phone, trying to type something. For whatever reason, in that moment, they would need me so badly, right? And then I would get frustrated. Nobody was getting my full attention. I was doing terrible work with parenting and whatever email I was trying to type and whatever conversation I was trying to have. But when I set the work down and would give the kids my full attention, guess what? After like 3 minutes, they had enough of me and they went on and did their whatever else they were going to do. They just needed my undivided attention for 3 minutes, right? And so it's in that way that we actually create a little more efficiency, I find, in our lives as well. So the things in our lives that need our loving, kind attention, we can ask ourselves, what is it that keeps pulling me away? So you're in a conversation with a loved one, or you're even trying to do something for work, and something keeps pulling you away. It's worthy of inquiry to sit with, what is that thing that is really keeping me from being present right now? What keeps distracting me? Because sometimes something needs to be done, right? Something needs to be said. A task needs to be finished, and that's okay if that thing needs to happen first so that you can then give your full and loving attention to whatever it is that needs you. I have this sort of unspoken rule for myself that if I think about something or a situation more than 5 times, I need to deal with it. I need to either have the conversation, I need to get the thing done, I need to get organized, I need to go do the thing, whatever. I mean, 100,000 things could fall in that category. But if I've thought about it 4 or 5 times, something needs to change. And inevitably, every time when I deal with that thing, a space is created. A space is created. So, really, in a nutshell, as we have respect for each activity, for each conversation, we know this, but life is made up of those small moments. Householding, phone calls, texts, conversations with our children. Life is not made up of the big moments. Sometimes we just live from moment to moment, big moment to big moment, and we're missing all the beauty, right? So if we're having this respect for each small moment in our lives, we're ultimately having total respect for our whole life, because that is our whole life. Are these small, small, seemingly mundane moments. They're not mundane, are they? They're who we are and how we live. And so in this way, we can start to find really some beauty and some awakening each day, even if things feel kind of boring or nothing's changing. It doesn't matter. It's about our attitude toward that. So let's sit for a little bit. Get comfortable. You can choose to close your eyes, or you can look down and a couple feet in front of you so the eyes are almost closed, but there's a small slit. Either way is fine. I didn't say this earlier, but it's in the description of our class that you can sit on the ground up on a prop. I'm on a block right now, or sit in a chair. You guys, I meditate in a chair when I'm doing my own practice. So much easier. Let's begin with coherent breathing, which just means matched inhale to exhale. Filling the body with the breath, lengthening the breath. You could count or not, but just feel or count for that long in-breath, matching a long out-breath. This is helping us activate the parasympathetic nervous system and calm down the sympathetic. And so there's a bit of a rebalancing, a bit of a recalibration happening. And after you've breathed in that way for about a minute, we do want to let go of any manipulation of the breath as we move into the formal meditation. As yogis, I've heard reports that it's super easy to use breath as anchor. And for some people, it's super challenging. I'm in that camp, the super challenging camp, because what happens when we sit? We start to breathe deeply. And so here, it's almost as though we are just the witness to the body being breathed for meditation. We're not deepening, we're not lengthening. The body is moving through its automatic process of breathing. And we are just watching. And observe if it feels easy or if it feels challenging to use breath as anchor. And then observe if using breath is easy for you, if you feel somehow uplifted or like you want to give yourself a pat on the back. And if breath is hard for you, what is your dialogue about that in your mind? Because both situations are storyline and narrative. And so stay with breath as anchor, or another option for tonight is to use sound as the anchor, which I know sounds counterintuitive. But opening to sound, especially on a night like tonight, where in our city we have rain, there's a real transitoriness to sound as anchor. We start to hear the quiet between the sounds. And just like the breath, it's always shifting, always changing, but it's always there as well. And when I say the word anchor, I mean that when you notice the momentum of your mind carrying you off into some other virtual reality, anywhere but here, thought, story, narrative, image. The anchor is the thing that you redirect your mind toward. So you redirect your mind towards sound, or you redirect your mind toward the felt sense of the breath in the body. How does it feel to you, this idea of respecting each moment? How can you respect this moment and this experience that you're having? What does that mean to you? We so often respect some things and not others. We pay attention to an important meeting, but not to our children when they're talking to us. We watch the latest Netflix series, but we don't listen to the birds and the trees. Even with mood, we really relish our good moods and try not to notice our bad ones. We might be riveted in a game on TV, sports, but we don't hear our footsteps when we're walking down the hallway or when we're taking out the garbage outside. In addition, of course, to storyline and narrative and agitation and joy, all the things that pass through as we sit, you may also feel neutrality. Sort of this feeling of being in the middle way or floating or suspended or just really present. And so if you notice that, just like the other states, keep turning toward your anchor. This practice reminds us constantly, every time we sit, that everything is worthy of our attention. From the ant walking across the floor to if you're eating whatever you're putting in your mouth, each breath, these things are our lives, moment to moment. And if we don't notice them, we really are not making full contact with the full vividness of life. People that start sitting more in meditation often report that their senses come alive in a whole new way. For this last moment, just keep witnessing the momentum and movement of the mind. The noticing is in the freedom. The freedom is in the noticing. And keep turning back toward your anchor. If you haven't yet, begin to open to sound. If your anchor was breath, open to sound in your environment. And perhaps you take a few slightly fuller breaths. You could interlace your fingers and make fists and squeeze the hands together. Perhaps swap out the cross of your legs if you're on the ground. What I'd like to leave you with tonight is that truly every moment of our lives is worthy of total regard. And so as you move through this week, just take pause long enough to give your full attention, your full love, your full regard to the most brief task. It doesn't have to be some big, long production by any means. It's these small, tiny, moment-to-moment practices. You will feel different inside, I guarantee you that. To be mindful of anything is an act of generosity. You are giving it life by allowing it into your world. But the greatest benefactor, because you're showing respect to your own life, is you. I send you all the love. Thank you so much for being here tonight.